Hello, thank you so much for staying on the AM show with me, Bernice Abubedu-Lansa. This morning, Kwesi Kwarteng is my guest, and he is Public Relations Officer for the Ghana Education Service. You may have heard, especially since yesterday, news broke of the decision to dismiss some 8 students who were seen in a viral video insulting the president. Well, this morning, the news is that the president has intervened. A lot of concerns were raised. For example, Child's Rights International wanted to know what exactly was contained in that report. There have also been legal perspectives shared by my own colleague here, Samson Ladi Ayeneni, on his Facebook page about insulting the president not being a crime. We've heard from the Africa Education Watch, which thinks that this is deterrent enough, and so that outfit doesn't seem to have a problem with it. I don't know what your thoughts are, but we'll be opening the phone line shortly. But let me welcome Mr. Kwarteng. Good morning to you, and thank you for joining us once again.
Good morning. How are you? And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to
This is
you.
the first time that we are meeting.
Yes. Happy New Year to you. So let's just start on that score. There was a lot of reaction to the decision by the GES to sack these students from school for insulting the president. But I know that there are some codes, in terms of what punishments will be given based on what code a student breaches. Is this one of those that requires dismissal, insulting the president?
Bernice, let me also take the opportunity to greet your viewers. Of course, I mean, clearly, even if we want to escalate it to the national constitution, it provides that, before you are able to punish somebody for any offense, that offense has to be stated in written language, and of course, the penalty prescribed to it. And so, as GS, we also take inspiration or take cue from such provision. And so, if you come to the Ghana Education Service level, even though generally we do not have, say, a comprehensive code that regulates all activities within the schools. But of course, that is being worked on. That document is being worked on. It's at the GS Council level. But then at the various institutional levels, being in the various secondary schools and the tertiary schools, they have their own code of conduct. I remember when I went to Konogo Masters, a prospectus that I was given clearly also stipulated the do's. They call it do's and don'ts. And if you do not, so a penalty or is also prescribed. So clearly, it may not be written clearly that if you insult the president, because ordinarily the framers of such rules will not even envisage a situation where students will have that courage, that effrontery to insult the number one gentleman of the land in the language that they use. So, of course, within that context, it may not necessarily be written, but of course, in terms of the presumptive assumptions that you may place on, or interpretations that you may place on some rules, it may fall there that, well, if you commit this offense, such as it's a clear case of misconduct, this penalty may be prescribed to you. If you look at the process that led to arriving this sanction, initially, the students were called together with their parents. A disciplinary committee was set up. You people who may have the background in law, in terms of the principles of natural justice, was strictly adhered to because they were heard.
Students were heard.
They were heard. After that, a decision was arrived, and then it was escalated to the governing board or the governing body of the school. Which, of course, if you look at the governing body, for instance, you may be talking about the PTA themselves, which is the parents, teachers, their representation, the RSRC, of course, some leadership, especially within the jurisdiction or within the community, also serve on the board. So they also okayed the decision of the disciplinary committee. Then it was escalated to the district education level for their opinion. They also agreed with it, regional level, national level. At the national level, that is when the GES Council, which is the highest decision-making body, or the apex body of the Ghana Education Service, also sat on it and approved the sanctions that was meted out to them. But of course, this morning, the president had to intervene. And for him, he believed that ultimately, even though he believes that when somebody commits an offense or commits a wrong or such misconduct, the person ought to be punished, he more or less aligns himself with the supreme interest at the end of the day, which happens to be the children's education. And so he feels that there have to be some level of mitigation. We need to reconsider the decision. And so consequently, the Minister for Education, Dr. Osei Duchum, has also directed that the Ghana Education Service, which made this decision, needs to review the decision that was made. So our expectation is that by close of the Ghana Education Service will review the decision and communicate same to the students affected or the students involved, let me put it in that context, and then also communicate same to the public.
So these students are going to suffer some form of punishments, because in that concluding part of the statement which you signed, it says, consequently, the Minister of Education, Dr. Osei Duchum, has directed the Ghana Education Service to consider an alternative disciplinary action instead of dismissal. As you were speaking, I was trying to recollect some of the rules when I was in high school, which warranted dismissal. And there were very few of them because, I mean, the school is a space where you understand these are young people. So it's more towards reforming them, you know, the punishment. So, for example, if you bought a mobile phone and it was seen, it will be seized and you would never have it again. If you broke bounds, you'll be suspended. I can't think about even two things that warranted dismissal. Is there anything that comes on the top of your mind? Any conduct that is stated clearly that this will warrant a dismissal? Because I just want to weigh it against the conduct of these students and see if, you know, that decision was not too harsh.
Venice, I am not sure, even today, on this very same station, if we are asked to replay the comments and the insults of these, young girls, even this station will be proud of playing.
No, not at all.
So I am not sure in terms of this comparison and analysis that we are doing, we should be able to compare, any misconduct in terms of the gravity of it to this one that we have witnessed. It's never happened in the history of any institution before, where you have students enjoying education, let me put it, obviously free, have that guts to come and attack the integrity, the personality of the president. You see, for us as a ministry, of course, we've moved from that stage. Currently, the decision now is that the president has intervened. But we believe that it was a fine opportunity to draw the sectional lines and send a very bold statement to our young girls and boys in school that, yes, we love you, we are giving you free education, we are catering for you, but look, we will not countenance on any act of indiscipline. Because, see, if we did not send that bold statement, what is going to happen is that, if you can insult a president, who is the teacher? Or what happens to the headmaster? What it was going to mean is that if we are not very careful, we will just generate or create an environment of indiscipline. Very chaotic. And what is going to happen is that our teachers were not going to, have that respect, that recognition as teachers to be able to teach. So yes, for us as a ministry, initially, even yesterday, if you heard some of my interviews, I spoke on your platform, and we stood by the decision of the Ghana Education Service. But today, what is most important is that the president said he elects to be magnanimous. He is saying that, well, at the end of the day, and in any event, at no point did any of my statement, did my statement say that the decision was wrong. The president is saying that, well, I am a father. I have to look at it from a different point of view. I look at this situation from a different perspective. And for me as a president, I believe that your decision, regardless of whether it's right or wrong, you ought to look at it very well. And we take it in a very utmost good faith.
So now the president has intervened, but with the current structure, what happens to students? Some of them are final year students. What would have happened to them? Because I know it would have been very difficult going back. It may have meant that they would find private schools, or what were their options?
It's just like asking me that a family man who has committed a murder or crime of murder, I mean, and then a judge convicts the family man that you have to go and serve the rest of your life in prison. What happens to the person?
I don't know what the rules are.
The rules are there.
Yes, so that's why I'm asking you. So share the rules with us.
No, that's what I'm saying. That yes, it's just like asking you have to look at the example.
So there wouldn't have been any opportunity for them to continue their education, even in a private institution. How does the system accommodate students who have been dismissed?
Yesterday, I reacted to a similar question about whether or not they have an opportunity to, have education. Within the public space, the government institutions, based on the decision that came from the GES Council, and largely GES and all, they were dismissed. But of course, in terms of their right to education, it was not curtailed. There was an opportunity for them within the private space.
Okay.
But we felt that, looking at the supreme interest of the educational, or the learning environment, we felt that it was right to send that very strong signal. But it was not as though anybody has taken their right to education, away from them. But on a scale of probability, balancing the symbol or the sign that we're going to show that students can disrespect teachers, students can disrespect headmasters after they've been able to disrespect the president and went scot-free, and the tendency and the impact that it was going to have on our education space, we felt that a decision ought to be made where this aid ought to be sacrificed for the larger interest of over the 1.4 million students that were available. But of course, it does not necessarily mean that they couldn't have access to education, especially within the private space. But of course, Benis, we have moved from that stage.
Yeah.
Today, what every parent will be concerned is that, the students are back to, or let me put it, it's possible that they are going to be back to school because, the only alternative outside dismissal is that you may have to remove that dismissal option. So it means that certainly they will get back to school. Of course, I'm not going to preempt or prejudice what GES is going to say in terms of the reintegration, but as at now, the dismissal sanction is no longer standing. And what if I'm a parent, I'm concerned is that at this moment, I can get my child back to school. My child is no longer dismissed.
All right. I've seen a lot of your reactions on our live feed. There are some of you who think this is a whole PR stunt by the president. There's some people who are suggesting that this may have been done to make the president look good. You don't speak for the president, so that's just by way of bringing some of their comments.
How is this going to make?
Oh, so someone says, "Sack the students. I'll intervene in order to make me look good and compassionate." So, that's how somebody feels about this whole thing and thinks it's a PR stunt.
No, on the other side, if the president had not intervened, these were the same people who are also going to say that, yesterday, people like Mr. Chega and co, former Deputy Director General of GS, they said it was political decision and that the president was not showing mercy and that we are making a political decision. So if the president has also not taken decision, you will find the same people also saying that the president is a wicked man, he can't forgive, he's bitter, he's vindictive. The same people are going to say that. But I think what is most important is that a decision has been made and we are moving forward. For us as a ministry, that is what is happening.
So when are we likely to expect a communication from the GES?
Within the day. Yeah.
Okay.
Then Dr. Nkansa-led administration, they don't sleep. Obviously, they are going to, look at it and make a decision within the day.
All right. So we'll be expecting to hear from them.